Welcome back to my channel. I'm Daina the Doula, and I specialize in helping working moms prepare for maternity leave, thrive in postpartum, and return to work with full confidence. If you're feeling anxious about stepping away from your career to take maternity leave, you're not alone. So many ambitious moms worry about losing momentum, being forgotten, or falling behind. And I want you to know that those fears are valid, but they don't have to define your story. In today's video, I'm going to share real strategies to help you protect your peace and your professional path so you can enjoy your leave, bond with your baby, and come back even stronger. Whether you're pregnant now, already on leave, or planning ahead for my type A queens, this one is for you. And if you are looking for personalized support, be sure to click the link in the description to book a virtual session with moi. I will help you make that transition into working motherhood. I will help you make that transition into working motherhood more smoother and have you feeling all empowered and warm and fuzzy inside. All right, so let's get into it because your career does not stop when motherhood starts. Let me just take a lemon water break. It is so hot outside, you guys. So this video is inspired by something that came up in conversation earlier this week with a client, and I thought it was very relevant because I had these feelings when I was going through the process of transitioning back into work after having a baby, figuring out how to balance motherhood with a newborn and also a very demanding career. I second-guessed myself every step of the way. I was so hard on myself, and I just felt like the entire time the voice in my head was so unkind. It was like, you're doing a terrible job, you're awful, they all think you're incompetent, none of them have respect for you. It was rough. But now that I'm in the position that I'm in, now that I've gotten over that whole phase, and I probably in some instances and for some projects definitely dropped the ball, but overall I wasn't doing a bad job at all because I got promoted, I got raises, I got another job. Like, I was still making my way up the ladder, up the corporate ladder. So wasn't doing bad at all, just being extremely hard on myself and not setting up the foundation to have a healthy transition and a plan to continue my career. But I wish I had me, but now that I am me and I'm able to help my clients, I'm going to share with you guys 5 tips that you can take action today on and help you overcome those feelings of being anxious, right? Like maybe losing some confidence, maybe feeling like I don't want to lose any momentum in my career. I want to still be able to attain my goals and, achieve all my girl boss dreams. Do not adjust your screen. It's still me. It's a different day. I'm in a different outfit. This video has been giving me hell to edit, and a couple of my clips that I recorded actually got corrupted. So the show must go on. This isn't me in the future. I'm just going to re-record what I talked about and add it to the video. So I know the end result is going to look a bit weird, but the information still applies, and I hope that you gain something from this. Okay, so let me just jump right into it. Do not be alarmed. I am reading from a notebook because I did take notes from the conversation. I do that pretty frequently when I meet with clients. So let's just jump into it. I don't want to waste any more time. I really want to get this video out to you guys. So the first tip, right, in preparing yourself or overcoming that feeling of, anxiousness or feeling like you are not adequate, which is absolutely not the truth. Having a proactive conversation with yourself. So before you even get to the point where you are informing your employer about being pregnant, maybe you already have, but before you get to the point where you are returning to work and trying to figure out this transition on your own, you need to ask yourself some questions. And I wrote them down. The first thing that I typically ask clients though is this just a job? If this is just a job, then let's not even worry about it, right? If the priority is just working to collect the coin and be able to take care of yourself and your family, make sure you guys have what you need, and facilitate your wants, of course, then fine. Leave all of the nonsense at the door. We don't even have to take this conversation any further. Now we have to figure out ways for you to compartmentalize what should be left on the playground and which shouldn't even cross the threshold when it comes to you walking into your home and being with your family. So you find outside interests or hobbies or just, techniques to help ground you, to keep your mind completely detached from, that's not who I am, that's not what identifies me, that's not real life, that is their problem. I show up, I do my job, and that's all I owe them. But if that's not the case and it goes a little bit deeper than that, right, then I'll ask follow-up questions like, what does your career mean to you? How can you use this job to help propel you to where you want to be in the future, right? Like, what can we utilize this job for? Like, make this job a stepping stone, a footstool for you. You don't want to throw yourself so deep into the ocean of being the perfect employee. You do the work for yourself. You do the work because you have the long-term big picture of, I have to do this now to get to the goals that I have set for myself and the accomplishments that I want for the future, right? How do you want your career goals to align with your personal goals and your motherhood goals? Use it for what it's meant for, which is to accelerate you, to help improve your career, and also to help you financially with establishing a beautiful life for yourself and taking care of your precious baby. So the next step that I need you to do is to take ownership of your role at work. This is before you are informing your employer, like, hey, good news, I'm expecting a baby. I'm due at around this time. I'm going to be out on maternity leave, however that works. But before you do that, it's really good to already present to them, right? You're not presenting a problem, but you are presenting a challenge. It is very challenging. A lot of companies right now, anywhere, are super busy, are short-staffed. So if you are going and saying, hey, I'm going to be going out on disability and I will be completely offline. So many of us that work in corporate, we know, like, you're hired for a position, you interview for a position, and then you start, and then they're like, surprise, and you're also going to handle this, this, and this. Or if somebody leaves, they're like, oh, we're going to have you take over some of her responsibilities while we look for a new person, and then they never hire a new person, right? There's so much that people are responsible for in these types of jobs that, yeah, it's kind of like your employer might be like, oh, congratulations. But in the back of their mind, they're like, oh, shoot. Now what am I going to do? Now I have all this stuff to do. Now it could be a situation where they hire a temp. But I think it's really smart to have a reasonable plan going into the conversation, immediate next steps in a transition plan. Like, I will be on maternity leave, but I have thought about how to make this transition smoother. If you guys are hiring a temp, here's a timeline of when that person should come in, how I can train them, handing off certain information. It'll be great, right? Take onus, right? I got this. This is my role. This is my department. You're not going in asking for anything. You're telling them, I'm pregnant. I'm having a baby. I will be gone for this amount of time. While I am gone, this is how my things will be handled until I'm ready to come back. And then, we'll talk about the transition when I'm back. But taking that accountability and that ownership and coming in with a solutions-based conversation as opposed to, surprise, I'm pregnant, and then having their next thought be, what are we going to do? Have the conversation be like, I'm pregnant, and this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to handle it. All right. My third bit of advice, now this comes directly from the conversation that I was having with the client, because she was expressing some uneasiness, right? Like, I'm nervous that when I come back, there won't be a job for me, which, first of all, is illegal. Like, you can't be fired or demoted or, given any disciplinary action for being pregnant and going on maternity leave. You are federally protected from that. But I understand, though, because you have to accept that business is business, right? And a business has to adapt. A business has to adapt in order to keep moving. So we're in these roles where we have all these responsibilities. Of course, they're going to put it on somebody else, or they're going to figure out a new process to keep the business afloat, right? And even though they like to say we're all one big family, that is not your family. Unless you work in a family business, then God bless you. But that is not your family, right? So they'll move on without you. And honestly, you don't want to have a role where it's like so much of the health and success of the company is falling solely on your shoulder. Maybe the step back and allowing them time to figure it out without you is a blessing in disguise. Honestly, maybe it's a blessing in disguise so that you can come back and be like, oh, I see that you found a way to handle this in my absence. Now that you're doing things this way, now we can talk about my new transition for this role. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't carry all that on. Let them figure it out. But don't have the fear that something will be taken from you because it's illegal. But also you just have to accept that things keep moving, whether you're pregnant, whether you fall ill. There have been situations where employees have the United Healthcare CEO, okay? They still had the meeting. that morning. You know what I'm saying? Please don't take yourself through those changes. Okay, it's future me back here with tip 4. So the fourth tip is, although I want you to prepare for a smooth transition back in, I also want you to realize that it's business. You do need to be prepared to hit the ground running in some aspect. Now, to make that easier for you, the best thing you can do is set realistic expectations, not only with yourself, but with your employer. Let's set the parameters of the playing field, right? Maybe your field is not going to be as wide as your colleagues, but you'll continue to scale up and scale out. What I mean by that is you have to be real about the projects that you're working on, the availability that you'll have, the boundaries that you'll need to set. Your hours are going to be different. Depending on what industry you work in. I know the industries that I worked in when I was in corporate, there was really no like, oh, we clock in at this time, and as soon as the workday ends, that's it for us. No, there would still be messages sent throughout the evening. There still were times where you'd check your email. I mean, they advise against it, but it's like, you know what's happening. That's what it takes to keep the business going. That's what it takes to keep clients happy. You know, it's an unspoken rule. It's just like you are just available, right? On any occasion, on a whim, right? So you have to be realistic with your employer, right? If you have a new baby, an infant, a toddler who is in daycare, sick days are going to happen. It is inevitable that you will get the call from the school telling you that your baby has a fever or your baby's nose is running, and you have to come pick them up within an hour because they cannot stay at the school and risk making other kids sick, which, spoiler alert, all the kids are sick, right? If one kid has a runny nose, they're all going to have runny noses. And you too are going to get sick as well. After you nurse your baby back to health, you might also come down with a little bug. So having that conversation beforehand will lead to less disappointment, right? It's just like, it's par for the course. I'm back at work because I had a baby. I have a small child that is now in, daycare, interacting with other germy little kids. I'm going to be called out, periodically, because that's how immune systems are developed. We have to interact with all the things to be able to protect ourselves from them. It also, it makes you so discerning, right? Like, you come in with that clear mind, because we already talked about, you establish your foundation of what you know that your long and short-term goals are going to be, how you want it to align with your career moving forward, with your personal life, those priorities that you're making. So you come in saying like, I cannot work on this project because it is not conducive to my life, but I can take over, something else. So you can, let go of some things, but also pick up the slack in other areas, which I'm sure, just open and honest dialogue hopefully is appreciated well and received well where you work at. And I also want to add, if you decide this is not the company for me, I don't see myself staying here long term, I need to make a move that will level up my career, that will boost my salary, then that also gives you so much power, because again, you are discerning, you are so clear about the salary that you need, you're able to negotiate with a clear head and some power. You're in a power position, and don't think that because you have a small child that you are a weaker link or an asset. No, you have so many skills now that you're a mother. One thing I'll say that I gained in motherhood is just my people skills, right? Like interacting with people in the past that may have been deemed difficult personalities. It's easier for me to navigate that now because I feel like I understand people more. My level of grace is stronger. I have more grace for myself, but I also have more grace for people, my patience, because I understand that everything stems from childhood, the way that people were treated as children. I also understand that people have different motivations, right? Everybody's just trying to do their job. The way that they execute those tasks may not be my particular cup of tea, but just leave it all on the playground, right? Like, not taking anything personally. If we all have the same goal to get the job done, to get paid, go home, and just like not worry about it after the workday is over, then that just makes it a lot easier to navigate and manage. Of course, personalities are difficult, but there is no more difficult personality than a toddler who doesn't get their way. I feel like I've mastered my toddler's personality, so once I can master hers, anyone else is just a day at the beach, honestly. And then the fifth tip is just about the mindset shift that you need to have in this, because it's not going to work unless you believe it, right? The mindset shift. This is what I talk about with clients. You have to prioritize yourself. I am never suggesting that any of my clients are one of those martyr, self-sacrificing moms I gave my kid my last and I didn't have anything. No. Prioritize your power. In my first video, I did speak about identity and not losing yourself. So for me, this work is not just about coaching moms because of a career. It is about protecting your identity, right? Like eliminating that statement of, I felt like I lost myself in motherhood, because I know I lost myself in motherhood. I know for sure that I did. But in the grand scheme and overall timeline of your life, like being you is always going to take precedence. You were you before you had these kids. You are going to continue to be you after these kids are grown, have moved on, have started their own families. Yes, you are somebody's mama now, but like me, some days I'm just like, who let me have a job? I digress. But you are entirely, like, your worth is too much to let a job create stress or anxiety that takes away from your joy, your light. And we see it all the time, right? So yes, I did say negotiate the higher salary, but look for a new job. But the salary is what you're worth, but it's not like your value, right? Your value is priceless. There is no monetary price that you can put on being self-fulfilled, being a good mom, right? Like just having a beautiful life. And I am seeing this like very frequently because I'm just meeting with women that work in all different types of industries, all these, have these beautiful careers where on paper it looks amazing, but they're just like, but outside of it, I feel like I have to keep stay here and keep with it because, like, for the paycheck, for the money, I have too much at stake and I have to take care of my family. So don't give a specific job too much of your energy. Understand your power, understand who the F you are, right? Negotiate, ask for more, but also come in with just set goals and intentions so that no one can pull you off your square, okay? Thank you so much for joining me for this video. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like, comment, share this with another mom that needs to hear you, and I will see you soon.